Hello, my name is Scott Sturgis. I'm a trustee of the Ohio Jury Management Association. With me today is David Ballman. David is president and trustee of the Ohio Jury Management Association. David is also a jury commissioner for the Montgomery County Common Pleas Court in Dayton. Welcome, David.
Scott, good to be here.
David is going to talk to us about the Jury Modernization Act of 2011. Before you do that, David, please relate your background as jury commissioner and jury administrator.
Prior to joining the Montgomery County Common Pleas Court as jury supervisor and subsequently commissioner in 2003, I was involved in IT in the private industry, private sector for over 30 years. So my background is not court-oriented except for the last half decade.
How does the Jury Modernization Act affect jury commissioners?
Jury commissioners are still appointed by the general division judges of a county. Not usually, there are two from the different main political parties. One of the recent changes, or one of the changes with the Modernization Act, is that a court employee could now be a jury commissioner.
How does the Jury Modernization Act affect the jury year?
The court specifies the date as to the beginning of the jury year and any divisions of the jury year that might be needed. It eliminates the first Monday in August as a statutory beginning of the jury year.
David, were there any changes to the compilation of the annual jury source list?
The Modernization Act does now require that the list of voters be a current list. In other words, the Board of Elections is to eliminate any person who has not voted in the past 4 years. The Bureau of Motor Vehicles may be included as part of the list, and that would include individuals with regular driver's licenses, commercial driver's licenses, or state identification cards. At this point, the option to use either the voter list or a combined voter driver's list remains unchanged.
What has changed about the term drawing?
Well, the notice of the drawing must still be published in a newspaper at least 6 days prior to the draw. One of the changes is the sheriff no longer needs to be notified or to attend the draw. The clerk of courts and at least one judge must be notified of the draw and attend the draw, or a representative of the clerk or the presiding judge.
Who may summon jurors?
The commissioner of jurors, the clerk of courts, or the sheriff. It is also possible to now summon jurors via an email notification.
Has the obligation of Ohio citizens to serve as jurors been changed under the Jury Modernization Act of 2012?
The Act did not change that at all. The Act retains language regarding the responsibility of citizens to serve as jurors when summoned, unless they're properly excused.
Was there any change to the qualifications of persons called as jurors?
Actually, the qualifications didn't change, although the language in the law is now gender neutral. You must be 18 years of age or older. You must be a resident of the county or the jurisdiction, and be eligible to be an elector if you're not registered to vote.
Was there any change to the causes for challenge of persons called as jurors?
No, the reasons that a juror may be challenged were not changed. There are many reasons listed in the law. They are available all on the Ohio Jury Management website, but they include things like interest in the case, action pending with the either party, or actually being related to someone that's involved in the whole process. There's, again, another half dozen such reasons, but they're all available on the website if someone would like to dig into those.
Are there any clarifications that affect juror privacy?
The Modernization Act now requires a prominent statement on the summons identifying or notifying the prospective juror that they may not fill out certain questions and request an in-camera hearing on the record. It further clarifies that the person, or that attorneys may be present, but the juror would not have an attorney. It would be the attorneys that are part of the case that the person was summoned for.
Can an employer penalize an employee for being called to jury duty?
Permanent employees cannot be penalized for being called to jury duty or for appearing for jury duty as instructed. The law still does not require an employee to pay an employee during jury service.
Are there any adjustments to jury fees in civil actions being taxed as costs?
Well, the Modernization Act now indicates that financial hardship is not a valid reason to waive jury fees as a cost. It also adds the ability of the court to tax incurred civil jury fees when a jury is called but the case is settled or does not go forward after the jurors appear.
Are there any adjustments to jury fees in criminal cases, David?
The Act continues to permit courts in criminal cases to assess jury fee costs if the defendant fails to appear. And it adds the ability of the court to assess jury fees as a cost if a defendant enters a plea or enters a plea of guilty or no contest less than 24 hours before the scheduled commencement of the trial.
Thank you, David, for discussing the Jury Modernization Act, and thank you to the Ohio State Bar Association for hosting us.